something you tried once and instantly knew it wasn't for you? Story 1, sales. I don't like convincing people they need things they can decide themselves, lol. Don't want a phone? That's cool with me. My boss once questioned why I didn't try to push an iPhone 14 onto an old man who came in asking for advice on how to use his flip phone. Always loved that one. The only time I ever had good performance was when I got a lucky streak and the customers came in wanting something already. Story 2. Manual labor. My grandfather did construction. One summer, he hired me on one of the roofing teams. All it took was one summer running shingles up and down a ladder to convince me to stay in school. My dainty little IT hands. Thank you, Pop. Well played. Story 3, gambling. I gambled for the first time against my cousins when I was around 13. I lost $100. That was a lot for me. Never gambled again since LOL. Story 4. I was shocked at how much I hate weighted blankets. People say so many good things about them. I put it over me. Boom. Instant claustrophobia. I don't even have claustrophobia, except with weighted blankets. Story 5. Jogging. I'm in good shape, so it wasn't solely for health reasons. My dog, who I used to go on long walks with, died mostly of old age. I wasn't ready to get another dog, so I decided that jogging would be a great hobby. Feeling connected to the neighborhood was a priority for me, as I found myself staying at home a lot, with no dog to walk. So I bought decent shoes, did a little research on methods, and started jogging just a few blocks a day at first to get into the groove of my new hobby. OMG, I hated every second of it. There was nothing relaxing or enjoyable about it at all, and I got home every night feeling like I was foolishly making taking a walk punishing rather than fun. About 2 weeks in, I stumbled and fell, scraping my hands up a little. I walked home, put my new shoes in a closet, and never jogged again. I adopted a new dog about a week later. Story 6. The whole dominatrix thing. Went to some femdom dungeon once in my youth. Before, I was always fascinated by it, but after the second stroke of whip, I just said my safety word and left. Story 7. I'm a bit of an adventure eater. I'll try just about anything. There is one and only one thing I've tried that I will never try again. Sea squirt sashimi. Besides the terrible, innuendo-filled name, the texture is terrible. You have to chew it off the rind, and it tastes like salted. I should have known when the waitress came by, saw my plate and said, "Oh, is that sea squirt? I'm gonna stand here and watch you eat it." Story 8. Women. All my life I thought to be or pansexual, but I am not. I'm straight as and don't know how to change the pansexual flag from my account lol. Story 9 with another woman. It was a good time, but I realized I am indeed straight. What grinds my gears is when I tried something once, instantly knew it's not for me, and later came back to it, and now it's the best thing. Story 10. Snow skiing. I fell. A lot. I couldn't figure out how to stand up without falling again. I fell again. I hurt my again. I was freezing. It took me another 5 minutes to stand up just so I could fall yet again and get even colder. Tiny children were whizzing by me like they were competing in some weird kindergarten version of the X Games. I am not cut out for skiing. Story 11. IPA beers. I tried more than I should. Cannot get into them. Every now and then someone will say, "But you are going to like this one," because I just say nope, never met an IPA that I like. It seems like all the IPAs are taking over most of the taps places. Can that many people really like them? Or is everyone scared to be the first to say so they just keep buying them? Story 12. Kissing dudes. I was in a play where I had to kiss another guy. I think everyone has an, uh-oh, what if I end up liking this feeling beforehand, but the moment I did it, it was like, oh, okay, cool, this does nothing for me. Good to know. Story 13. Strip club. I don't fully grasp why men of all ages seem to love the idea of watching women together. Like, are we going to watch an off together too? Also, the constant pressure they put on to get you to spend money is anxiety-inducing. Story 14. Door-to-door sales. My trainer was sleazy as, and kept pushing us trainees to be the same. They had taken us out of the city to a nearby town, so we didn't really have a way to get home until the end of the day. There were 2 girls with another trainer who noped out after 30 minutes and had a friend come pick them up. Wish I had known so I could have gone home with them. Story 15. I tried to be a morning person every day 2 years. I got a job that started early in the morning. Even though I pushed through and got up every morning, I still could barely do it. I was miserable every single day. Complete bullshit that you can just train yourself to become one. I literally set an alarm to wake up early every day, even on my off days, and it was agony to get up. I'm just not wired to be one. Story 16. Peeing in a woman's. I'm not entirely sure what the point was, but she asked and conveniently I had to, so I did. Weirdest experience I've ever had. She seemed to enjoy it, but I never spoke to her again. Story 17. Without emotional feelings involved. Coconut water. I love just about anything coconut, but a coconut water sample almost made me vomit in the middle of Costco. Story 18. Teaching middle school. I taught high school for 19 years, moved states, and had to take a middle school position for a year. I instantly realized it was not for me. I thought, they're just a few grades lower. How different can they be? Completely opposite, exactly. I dragged myself into that school so exhausted and irritable every day. I quickly realized that one middle schooler with bad behavior, 5 high schoolers with bad behavior. My humor went right over their heads. The misbehavior itself was a type of misbehavior I'm not used to. Also, high schoolers sleep. Middle schoolers scream. High schoolers will sometimes be apathetic. Middle schoolers throw things. High schoolers are developing the capacity to think before they speak. Middle schoolers shout whatever comes to mind. High schoolers bully each other online. Middle schoolers bully each other in person in front of a teacher's face. I have never gotten so many rude comments as I did when I taught middle school. Story 19. Psychedelics. I was with a bunch of friends when we tried them. Everyone else was enjoying it and losing their minds, while I literally felt nothing. Ended up leaving early and driving home since I literally felt completely sober. Tried some others another time and same thing happened. I figured I must be immune to hallucinations or something and never tried them again. Story 20. Contacts. ID had glasses since the 3rd grade and in middle school tried contacts. The nice lady at the optometrist kept poking me in the eye getting them in. Story 21. I took a crime scene investigation class where they showed pictures of deaths that had happened in my city. I don't know what I was thinking signing up for that, but I had anxiety attacks and a feeling of dread for weeks. Story 22. Roller coasters and thrill rides in general. Went on one with my friends at Six Flags. Caused a full-blown panic attack with crying and shaking violently. I had to be escorted off the ride and walked unsteadily to a bench. I just took my medication and waited for it to pass. I was so embarrassed. I let my friends go and have fun and tried one more coaster before I decided none of it was for me. I am not an adrenaline junkie in the slightest. Story 23. Disney World. The heat, the lines, the overpriced everything. Caving. Went with my family in Laos and got about a meter into this 50 centimeters wide gap and turned around and went home. Story 24. Aikido. Physically grasping people and throwing them to the ground was absolutely not for me, especially as I was warned, if you do it wrong, you can injure them. I wasn't looking to hurt anyone. I noped right out of there. Story 25. Nicotine. I bought a vape once just to see what all the fuss was about. Stupid, I know. Unfortunate, I learned my lesson. One hit and a sick trip to the bathroom was all it took for me to never want to smoke nicotine again. Story 26. Strip club. In my mid-20s, a friend took me along and paid for me to get A. Now, I am a heterosexual man who likes looking at naked women. But it was one of the most pathetic and cringe experiences of my life. Pure sadness for everyone involved. Story 27. Giving birth naturally. My second came way too fast to get the good stuff. Even though it was quick, it was the absolute worst pain I've ever experienced. When I was pregnant with my youngest, I made it known to anyone that within earshot, I wanted drugs, and I wanted them early. Story 28. Blowjobs. Unless the person performing it was just really bad at them. I'd seen movies, read smut, and good head always has people moaning, eyes rolling back in their head, etc. I just felt like uncomfortable. I off dry, no lotion, so maybe the moisture is what makes it uncomfortable for me. Or maybe the person was just awful at it, IDK. Giving a though? Yeah, won't make me from doing it, but it's hot as seeing the dude squirm. Just wish it had the same effect for me. Running as an adult. My hammy still isn't the same. Story 29. Cruises. I get seasick, so I was terrified of getting on a ship. My family told me that I wouldn't feel a thing. It was all right at first, and I managed until the night came and it was time to sleep. Laying flat on the bed made me feel the lull of the boat, and it just made me absolutely sick. My family felt 100 refreshed after that trip, while I felt completely exhausted. I practically ran towards the exit whenever we had land excursions and when it was finally all over. Also, can I just say, cruises are so dirty I can't. This is the germaphobe in me speaking. Story 30. Shared living. Back in my student days about 30 years ago. I hated every second of it. Didn't get on with the housemates. Could never get in the bathroom in the morning because someone was always up before me. Not good when you wake up bursting for a wee. Story 31. Being a realtor. No pay security. Paying for expenses at the brokerage firm. Possibly not making money for months on end. Buying stuff to advertise yourself. Hard pass. Quit within the month. Story 32. Bungee jumping. All the fear of skydiving without the thrill of the free fall, and then you bounce at the bottom and have to feel it again multiple times. Not for me. Story 33. Discipline. I went to a summer program that was focused on discipline and getting stronger. Don't ask, my parents knew it wasn't for me, but I thought it would be good for me. It was run by a bunch of retired army people. I just kept being my free-spirited self, and the people at the camp kept telling me I wasn't going to amount to anything unless I got that under control. Joke's on them. I'm a super highly paid, super respected person who still gets to laugh and goof his way through life. Very few careers actually require discipline and work ethic. If you're a likable creative, you'll make it just as far, if not further, and may innovate along the way as opposed to just doing things the way they're supposed to be done just because that's how they have been done. Story 34: Cruise Vacation. Met a lot of on that trip. Can just not go on a cruise for that experience and not be stuck in the middle of the ocean in limited space with a bunch of annoying people. Story 35: Fishing. Tearing the worm in half and then dangling it in the water for 10 min. You pull it out and it's been chewed up, but it's still wiggling. It's alive the whole time, and then the fish themselves, slimy and flopping, and from the hooks, not my thing. Story 36: Therapy. Well, I tried it once with 4 different people. The last one was so strange I wanted to talk to her about my struggles in my career, but she kept fixating on my love relationship and basically tried turning me against him. That's when I decided to close that path. Story 37: Door-to-door sales. I had my first day training door-to-door sales, and I felt so uncomfortable, like it went against my morals. If people want something, they look for it and will find me. I lasted a day, lol. Story 38: Meth. A friend brought it along when I was moving house. It was amazing. I was able to do everything I needed to do. I wasn't tired. I got everything done. It was fantastic. I knew immediately that if I ever did it again, I would have a serious problem. 35 years later, never tried it again. That is evil. Story 39: PTA. Attended one meeting and turned in my resignation the same night. They were all so serious about everything. I just wanted to gossip about the teachers we didn't like and organize picture day. Story 40: Skiing. First lesson, I slid between the teacher's legs, crossed the road, and ended up head down my skis, planted in the net fencing the ravine. Once they took me down, I stood up and said, nope. Story 41: Proselyting. I'm an introvert, and I was heavily influenced to serve a Mormon mission and realized after the role play that it wasn't for me. Did it for 2 years. Hated it. Wouldn't recommend. Story 42: Anything that has to do with my partner's feet. Do not get me wrong, I like washing them and giving pedicures, but I get nothing from anything there. On the other hand, if she is into it and likes it, then I do too. Story 43: Cigarettes, taste like, will eventually lead to up health, yellow teeth, bad breathe, expensive AF. That, programming. I don't even have to explain. Story 44: Sales for an HVAC company. Warehouse work had slowed down, so they sent me out to do some follow-up sales. No, thanks, it's some of the scummiest work. I legit felt bad after making my first sale. 18K to a guy. If he bought it himself and went with the distributor's installer would cost 8K. I get the upsales needing to make profits, yada yada. But it was straight up ripping people off. With the market at the time being so behind, people would pay it in a heartbeat. You need heating. And if you're doing the ductwork already, might as well throw on the cooling as well. Don't forget you have a pet, let's get the allergy air filter that's a few inches thicker and does nothing. The system would work better with a new thermostat. Oh, your breaker doesn't have any space for the new AC unit, gotta get one of those as well. I felt bad typing that out. Story 45: Competitive swimming. I pride myself in being very athletic and good at every sport I tried, but swimming is a whole different ballpark. I quit after the first tryout day. I absolutely bow down to people who swim and the ones good at it. That sport is no joke.